Call this meeting to order. Roll call, Director Parrott,
Here.
Director Robinson,
Here.
Director Crail,
Here.
and Director Shopey. Not currently here, and I am Director Rowan, and I am here. I would like to welcome everybody that's here or online or where we're at. Communications and celebrations.
We don't have any at this time. We really haven't had any contact with anybody. So
Conflict of interest.
I will note that my dad's football contract is in the consent agenda.
Thank you. And I have a bill with J&J Sports in the consent agenda, so we'll move that also. Public comment cards, we have none because we have no public. So item number 7, approval of the proposed agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Been moved and second to approve the proposed agenda. Are there any questions or discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Item number 8, routine business matters and consent items.
there's really nothing out of the ordinary in these for this month.
Do we have a motion for approval?
Make the motion to approve the consent item.
I'll second.
It's been moved and second to approve the routine business matters and consent items. Are there any questions or discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Item number 9, return to learn update and discussions.
This is really information only. We have, by the state, we have to put together a return to learn plan. They have been giving us guidance over the last few weeks on what this all entails and what we need to do. One of the things they suggest is that you have a standing item on your agenda for return to learn, just so we share the information with the board and the board knows what we're doing. There's one major component within. The major component breaks down into 3 parts, and the one is required continuous learning. This is something that we have to do. We have to have a plan put together that says if we cannot start with kids on the first day of school, what that looks like for a mandatory education online. And second of all, if you get school going and we get shut down again for a month, how do we offer education so it's not voluntary, it is mandatory? So that is the first thing that we have to do. And we met today and we have different groups at different levels of 2 in the elementary, 2 in the middle school and 1 in the high school that will meet this week to put together a plan on how do we get mandatory education to each of those grade levels and what it looks like. You have a lot of considerations that you have to think in there. One is how much time can you expect elementary kids to stay online, to be involved? How do you set that up? It is even different between your kindergartners and your 3rd graders. What does it look like for 5th and 6th graders, and what does it look like for 7th and 8th graders? And then at the high school, how do you do it so you get the number of minutes in for credit? That is required. We will put that together over the next couple of weeks and submit to the state. I will show you the plan at our July meeting. Once that is submitted, that's a general outline, and you fine tune it to your district and your needs as you go along. So it kind of depends on where we are when we get into July and when we get into August of what that's going to look like. The second one is a hybrid learning plan. This is optional. It combines in-person and online learning. We will put a plan together like this because if you have to do something different with your on-site learning where you have to limit the number of kids, it works better if you can have a hybrid model. This is what a lot of colleges are already doing, to where you do some of the work on campus and some of the work off campus. It does not have to be in great detail, but it has to be an outline enough that says if we need to put this in place within a short amount of time, we can fill in the gaps and make it happen. The last one is the on-site delivery plan. It is optional. We will put it together because we want to answer the questions that our teachers may have, all of our staff may have when you get into associates and custodial staff and kitchen help. And then we can add parents' comments and concerns in there too, just so we have some answers with it when it comes. We are planning on having school as normal in August when we come back. What precautions do we have to take? Do we have to check temperatures when they come in? What is the process if you have a student that shows symptoms of any illness? What do you do with busing? You know, there's a lot of questions that we don't know. We don't know all the questions and we don't know all the answers, but this gives us time to think about it. Some of those can be as much as, what do you do if you have a kid that doesn't feel coming back because they have a compromised immune system? What type of services can you offer those? What do you do if you have a staff member that doesn't feel coming back? So those are the questions we'll put together and try to get some basic answers put into place. So if we are allowed to bring students back on August 15th, that we're ready to go with it. As I said, we will develop these plans over the next couple of weeks. We will turn it in on July 1st, and we will share our outlines with you at the next July board meeting. But until we are through the COVID process, I'm guessing this will be on here, and it will be on here for a while, and it will always be changing depending on the current situation. So that is all I have for that.
Does anybody have any questions for Jess? Hearing none, on to handbooks.
Teresa, did we share any handbooks with staff? I don't think we did. Did we? Or with board?
I got Scott Chesky's, but I did not forward it.
Yeah,
because I-
we have Scott's. We have the middle school, the elementary. We're waiting on, we can put that together between the new elementary principal and the old elementary principal. And with the high school, they're doing some different changes in it. And I just said, we'll wait till July. So in July, we'll bring those back. And then we
I
can
didn't
present
know
them.
if you were forwarding.
It doesn't matter when we put it in because you don't print them anymore. It used to be that we had to print them. So they are in process and they're about complete, but we'll bring them all in together now. So
Bread and milk bids for 2021.
I do not believe we've got all of those completed yet, do we, Teresa?
We have not received.
Yeah, we have not received any at this time. Hopefully we'll receive them in July and we'll send them back out. That is a requirement of the lunch program. So we will get them, but at this point we have not received anything.
Set special meeting for year-end business.
We always have a year-end business where we pay the bills.
June 30th is on Tuesday.
Okay. It'd almost have to be the 29th or 30th, wouldn't it, Teresa?
Yes.
So it would have to be the 29th or 30th. Traditionally, we've done this at noon. And it doesn't take very long because all you're doing is approving the bills that have to be paid before the end of the fiscal year. Is there a preference on a Monday or Tuesday noon meeting?
Tuesday for me.
Okay. Aaron, does that work for you?
Tuesday'd be fine. Yeah.
You
I'm
too?
fine.
Okay.
We only need 3 board members.
Yeah. And we send out the information in advance. You just need approval so we can pay those checks before July 1st.
Do you need a motion for that?
I need a motion for that.
I'll make the motion to set a special meeting for year-end business for Tuesday, June 30th at noon.
I'll second.
It's been moved and second to set a special meeting for year-end business on June 5th at noon. Are there any questions or discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Item number 13, resolution for designated signers for payments.
Teresa, you want to explain this?
Well, it's nice to have, but we have 2 signatures on each check, and this just is a resolution where we are approved to have Nicole sign and just sign in my absence.
Every check has 2 signatures on it. So any one of us cannot write a check and pass it through. So this in short would allow me, you, or Nicole, 2 of the 3 to have it. Usually it's me and you on it unless it's a different account that it's like lunch is Val and me. So explain that, how that works.
So John or Tracy can sign general fund and PEPAL fund checks. The activity checks and nutrition fund checks are Jess and myself. So if one of us cannot sign, this just says that Nicole is an alternate to sign.
Yeah, and we need this just in case somebody gets quarantined. We have the people here to get it done.
I'll make a motion to resolution for those 3 people.
Second.
It's been moved and second to approve the resolution as presented. Are there any questions or discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Item number 14, approval of SIAC recommendations.
Traditionally, we have a SIAC meeting during May, which we go over the test scores that we had from the year before. That we involve community members with, staff, administration. We make recommendations for our goals going into the next year. This year, we had no SIAC meeting, we had no tests, so there's really not a need for it. I want to leave it on there though, because when we put together the agenda for the next year, you kind of look at the last time and you put over to so you make sure you get it done. But this year, there was no SIAC meeting and there were no tests, so that we don't need anything with that this year.
Okay. Item number 15, graduation ceremony and prom, and we'll handle those separately.
Yep. So for graduation ceremony, and I'll explain what conversations have been held so far, and if you have questions, you can ask. Do you want to wait for a motion on that, or do you want, I mean, if we've got questions or discussions? Let me explain what I have, and then I'll ask you that question. We can go from there. So with graduation, I have had several conversations with Public Health and Sandy McGrath. They are opening more and more things all the time, which is making it a little bit easier to have some type of ceremony. That being said, we are in a little bit of a different situation here as well, with rising numbers with the virus. So the last time we talked is, could we do some type of outdoor graduation to where we are going to separate the kids 6 feet apart? You have to do it on the football field. You have to make plenty of space between. So when you have kids walk up to get a diploma, they are away from each side. This is with my conversation with Sandy's throwing ideas out. You would limit the students, who they can have in the crowd, to probably their parents only. And you would spread the parents out 6 feet apart and put them in the back to where they could see the ceremony. You would have a stage to where you could hand out the diplomas on the stage, where traditionally we would have a bunch of board members. I want to limit that access to as few as possible. I guess I would ask board members if there's one that would want to be up there because of a connection to a student. I would definitely not want more than 2 board members up there. The idea really is to recognize your seniors, get them on the stage, get them their diploma, so their family can see them walk the stage like every other class. The question I have is, 1, do we want to try to have a graduation ceremony on June 20th? What guidance do you want to give me? One is if Public Health will approve it, or one is if Public Health, when I've talked to them, they not necessarily will recommend that we do it, but they not necessarily will stop it either. So if you plan one, they may say, we recommend you don't do it, but we're not going to stand in your way. Or they may say, you can't do it. I guess my opinion would be is you go ahead and plan with it and you work with Public Health and see if you can get their approval. But I want to know what the theory is if they say, we don't recommend that you have it at this time. Do we mail? Yes.
I have 2 parents that have told me they won't participate either with their kids.
Were there kids? Yep.
So you
Just
know-
if it's June 20th?
No,
Or period?
they won't participate.
Anytime.
Okay.
Yep.
Just so
And
you
that
know.
is, they would be invited. You are not required by law to have a graduation ceremony. They're nice, and every class has had a graduation ceremony. I would like to have a graduation ceremony, but I also don't want to go against the advice of medical professionals, and put anybody at risk with it. So I guess I'm looking for questions and discussion on that. But to do that, do you want a motion to either have a ceremony if approved, or how do you want to do that?
Yeah, that would be best. So probably what we would be looking for is perhaps a motion that said we would pursue having graduation on June 20th at a certain time. I suppose it's normally
2:00.
2:00. Acknowledging that it's a one and done chance. And also acknowledging if public health says no, then we're done. So something to that effect, and probably limiting to one board member. Certainly, some of you may have direct connections to students. Darren, you do. So there's no requirement that is a board president or vice president. It can be any board member would do. So something along those lines, and then we can start asking questions and go from there.
I'll make a motion for graduation. June 20th, 2 p.m., pending public health input and weather relating.
Yeah, I think you'd have an alternative date for the next, it's a Saturday, so your alternative date would be the Sunday. So you'd try it for Saturday at 2:00. If that doesn't work, Sunday at 2:00, and those would be your options.
Totally fine.
Do we have a second?
I'll second that.
It's been moved and second to pursue having graduation on June 20th at 2:00, with a possible alternative date as the 21st. Any questions or discussion now?
I can tell you what I envision with it, and it would be, you're not gonna have a band there, so you're not gonna have the music. I mean, you can have music, but you're not going to have the band. I don't foresee bringing speakers up. You want to limit the traffic as much as possible. So through my conversations, if you can get the kids to come in and sit in their seats, if you have the parents and you're going down the football field the long way, if you give yourself 20 feet to 30 feet in the middle, then you can put people that walk in the middle and they still got 10 feet on each side, or 10 to 15 feet. So you got your social distancing. You would ask the kids what they have for a parent group or two parent groups, set them 6 feet apart. You can actually set a family together because they've been in the same location, but you're still going to limit that to, groups of two. You'll set them 6 feet apart. When you bring up your kids, you can bring them up. They can go down the 5-yard line. So there's plenty of distance between them. They can march up in that order. They're going to walk across the stage. They're going to get their diploma and they're going to go back. Everything else that you would see in a normal graduation ceremony is going to be either very limited, not happen, or very scaled down. It will mainly be a welcome, congratulations, reading the names, getting them across the stage and getting them back to sit back down with as least social distancing as possible. One of the challenges that we've talked about is how do you get kids and parents in there without doing the 6 feet apart? Public health has told me you will have to do it similar to a wedding, to where you have the ushers that come up and you say these parents can exit, and you're going to have to exit them to the car in the 5 yards apart and spread them out. So it's not going to be a place of social gathering. The big concern is we can't have a place of social gathering right now. And so we have to do things and ensure them that we are limiting access so you don't have a bunch, 100 people sitting around talking and taking pictures.
Are you putting the student in with their family group? So then
No, in this format, the students, how the students usually sit in the front? They would sit in the front, but you're going to have probably 15 yards and you're going to spread them out 10 feet apart. So it'll be like we're sitting here
I've just seen somewhere the students sat in that group of
with their parents.
5 or 10. Yeah. And then that was how they sectioned.
I've seen
each
some where they're
group,
doing the
6
pods. I saw a model which had the seniors in the front like this, but we'd be in a row. And that way I can stand up, I can go get my diploma. You can shift down and kind of work them through so everybody can get on stage and do the diplomas. And the parents are in the back. The one issue that I don't have a good answer for is if everybody's on the flat surface, you have a stage, what does your visibility do as you get farther back? In the current gym, you're up above and you can all see down. If you go the long way, it's all flat and you're gonna have a harder time seeing. And you're gonna have people bring lawn chairs because there's no seating that's out there. So. Other questions, comments, challenges you see that I'm not thinking of?
And you're thinking one and done. If it doesn't work this week, that weekend, it just wouldn't
That's
happen.
for you guys to tell me.
I-
Darren, go ahead.
I think that it's one weekend, that's it, and there's no use in keep pushing it back.
Any other questions?
I'm just wondering, based on where we are right now with everything, would they tell us no, so then you don't even have an option?
I'm not sure that you are going to get the public or the public health to say yes 2 weeks from now. You know, like 2 weeks ago I was playing baseball. Now we're not playing baseball. You don't know how it's going to progress. If things calm down, the last conversation when I threw my idea out about spacing people out, she said, I think you can make that work if we do a good job of social distancing people. I don't know what that looks like 2 weeks from now. I don't know. Every day it seems like our numbers climb 20 more cases in the county. I don't know what their advice, and that's why I need the advice is if she says we don't recommend it, do we still go ahead with it? Or is a don't recommend mean we don't do it? Because I've heard this on several occasions. They may not recommend it, but you can still hold it. They're not going to stop it. Well, I don't want to be the one that makes that call on a no recommend, but we're still going to hold it. So I need to know if it's not recommended, but we feel it's safe, do we go ahead with it? Or if it's not recommended, are we not doing it?
I would say if they say it's not recommended, we don't do it.
Anybody else? So Darren, then your motion would be pending recommendation. from
Yes.
public health.
Approval, maybe? Approval.
Approval maybe is better than.
Yeah,
She
approval.
probably won't give us the recommendation, but she might say, yeah, your plan's good, you can do it.
And that
if
can
we don't get
change up to
approval,
the,
Are we done? I guess that's what I want to make sure too, because I struggle with
How do you want-
graduation being the one thing that I think we want to try as best we can, versus just shutting it off.
should we do that in two different motions? One to do it on the 20th with approval, and the second one if it's a one and done or not? Here's the other deal with that. You can wait till your July meeting to see where we are with it, to see if it's something you can bring back. My only thing is you have to get it done sometime because we're going to be planning for next year.
Right.
You're going to have football field getting ready, and you're going to be planning for. I mean, and if you have people coming for the graduation ceremony, you've got to get them information that goes with that. So.
My opinion would be you're just gonna try it the one time because, as you said, you've got people that may want to come in and you can't string them along either. It just makes more sense to say, we're gonna try and do it. If we're going to do it, we're gonna try to do it on that weekend. And if we can't get it done, then we'll make sure they get their diploma and go on because they wanted to know early on, they wanted to know, well, when could we do this and celebrate? And, if we're saying, well, we hope it can be here, but it could be in July, that's really messing with their.
The later you go, the more kids you are having leave for college, military, and employment opportunities too. That's
Another factor.
yeah. Once you hit that July 15th, where they would have played baseball and softball, you have another group that's ready to leave. So we will do whatever you guys want. You got to give me direction on it.
Jess, what's been done in the area? Has anyone had?
Nobody's
ceremony?
well, I should say nobody. It seems to me that Southeast Valley was able to have some ceremony in May.
Okay.
Most of the time that I've seen, they've done some type of parade like we've done already to honor them with the hopes that maybe you can do a ceremony. I know that Clarion is looking at having a ceremony the next weekend on the 27th. From my conversation with Dr. Olson, he's planning on having a ceremony. As long as public health tells him he can't, he's planning on having a ceremony. So that's why I said with the recommendation or not the recommendation, because that's important to me on how you want to plan. Do you want me to go over a recommendation that you don't have it or not? So I think Belmont has 2 different dates, and I shouldn't say that. One of the schools in our conference has to where if they can't do it in June, it does go to July. And they've already set those 2 dates, and then if you can't get it in there, then it's done. And I don't know what those dates are.
Any other questions? And I guess as part of this, we're gonna have one board member. Do any of you want to be that board member?
I would love to be, but I'm having surgery on the 19th, and I don't think I'll be in any.
That was my question, is if you wanted to be present for that. So
I mean, I do, but I don't know how I'm going to come out with my sinus surgery. So,
okay. If that's the case, then I probably will ask John. If John can't do it, we'll get a person to stand in.
Unless somebody else.
But somebody else wants to. I don't know what relatives you have or connections if somebody says, I would like to do this.
Okay, doesn't sound like anybody does, so then it'll fall on me, which is fine. I don't care. So the motion that we have right now is to hold a graduation ceremony on June 20th at 2:00 with an alternative date for the 21st. As for weather. And to do so not with approval, but acceptance of the public health.
With the okay of public health.
Okay, of public health.
or our design.
Yes, with what I mean, I can't guarantee my design is what they'll do, but we will work with them hard to get a design that works.
Perfect.
Okay,
So with an okay from public health.
then we'll proceed to vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
All right.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, we will try to have a ceremony on the 20th or 21st. The next item would be then prom.
I don't see how you're ever having a prom. I know that you have people that would like a prom. They're kind of sitting there wondering what we're going to do. If we're going to have a prom, I need direction from you that says I have a motion that you try to have a prom in June or July. If we don't, then I need a motion from you that says we are not going to have prom this year. Then at least we know how to move forward, or I know how to answer the questions if I have a parent contact me that says we have prom. I don't want the question to be open forever with that. I personally don't know how I would put a prom together.
I think it'd be irresponsible for us.
6 feet apart. So
Darren, what'd you say?
I think it'd be pretty irresponsible for us to even try to have a prom and put 50, 60 kids plus in a room together in our gymnasium or wherever, and even try to have it.
and you're probably, because 50,
I was
60
gonna
is
say,
one class, you're
after-
probably over 200.
Yeah, after prom generally is 110. So I mean, you probably have at least that with prom.
Yeah, I think there's no way.
Okay, do you want to put that in form of motion?
I would put that in a motion to not have prom.
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded to not have prom this year. Are there any questions or discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Item number 16.
I don't want to go on yet. I need to know if this is a one and done or not a one and done on graduation.
That was in the motion that it was.
Was everybody understanding that graduation is the 20th or 21st, or we're not having a graduation?
Yeah.
Okay, because then I know if we can't do it by the 21st, I know that we're going to be mailing out diplomas. So that's what I need to know there. Okay.
Driver's education.
Driver's education, this is another one that came up. We are offering it online. Online may not be the best for every kid. If it doesn't work out for them, we offer it again in the fall so they can take it there. The driving portion, we had it set up to where we were going to drive. I am simply not going to let us drive until after July 4th. I don't, without knowing who's getting in the car and being able to put two kids together and keeping everybody safe, that is going to be my direction. Because we were putting the prom and the other stuff on there, if you want to make a motion in a second to tell me that they have to drive, you can. Otherwise, I think I'm just letting people know we're not going to do any driving until after July 4th, and we'll reevaluate at that time. So, does anybody want me to start driving right now? Okay.
No.
Okay, we'll move on then. Item number 17, pandemic pay resolution.
Okay, so during the school year, we did pay resolutions for our associates and our custodians and people that were hourly employees. Now that we've hit the summertime, we brought our custodians back to work, and then we had the COVID-19 issue within our own staff. Currently, I have sent them home last week and then through this week. My guidance through public health is if they stay home for 14 days from the exposure, that everything should be cycled through as long as you don't have a new exposure. That puts us to next Monday when we would bring them back to work. We're in a little bit different territory than we were before because I can't guarantee this won't happen 2 weeks from now or another week. I guess Teresa and I are looking for just a resolution that gives me the ability to pay staff when work conditions warrant that they shouldn't be working in case we get shut down for another 14 days. I would like this for June and July, and we will reevaluate it come August. I don't even know what the date is, but at our August board meeting, because by that time you're going to have to start getting people into school to get ready for the school year. But right now, I'm telling the employees, like my custodial staff and my secretarial staff, I said, stay home until this date. We will pay you. I want the board's authority to do that, just so we have it on record.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
It's been moved and second to approve the pay resolution. Are there any questions or discussion?
Is it basically just your custodians and your
It's
secretaries?
hourly employees.
Is
Yep,
that
it's
just how many
custodians.
people
Tell
are?
me if I'm custodians, secretaries, and it could be cooks if it hit into that group. So it's salary employees are getting paid regardless. It's your hourly employees. So
Any other questions? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Item number 18, policy review.
okay, so if you've been on here for a couple of years, you know our policy numbers did not match up with what current standards are. So we've been working on putting policies together. When you get to the end, which is 6, 7, 8, and 9, those were all mixed together. So if you look at your 600 series, there's actually an outline in here of 600 series, 700 series, 800 series, 900 series. Our current series has a 10,000 or a 1,000 series. Those are now all incorporated into different series here, and the names changed. So I have put on there whether the policy is new, whether the policy is revised, or if the policy is the same. Sometimes the revision is simply a new number because it would say, I'm trying to look at one that's on here, but it will say former policy. I don't think the 600 is that way. 700 is where I hit the issues. If you get to 703, the budget, actually you can do it with 701, depository of funds. That used to be 802.8. The next one down is the budget, which used to be 801. I guess transfer of funds was 801.8. When I call the lawyer or when we have a question on policy, you are supposed to be able to go into Iowa Association of School Boards, type in the number or type in the words, and it gives you the policy. When your numbers don't match, it's a disaster. There are also policies in there that are no longer needed, and there's policies that are new. So if it says new beside it, that's an added policy. A lot of those have to do with technology, because your original policies were put into place in 1990s, and some of your technologies have changed since then, including video cameras on buses and different things like that. My recommendation is, this is the end of it. We approve this, and then at the July board meeting, we'll approve the entire policy, and it will match word for word what Iowa Association School Board says to have at this time. Then when we go back and we do our individual reviews of the policies, we can read them and ask questions at that time if we need to. We just need to get them cleaned up, and we need to get our numbers to match. So this would give us what current law and make everything current according to Iowa Associated School Boards. So I guess I would just like to have the first reading of those policies. I will put the book together. We'll have our final reading, approve all the policies in July, and then you start the cycle again, but you can actually have it to where it matches the numbers. If Iowa Associated School Board comes in and says policy 702 needs revised, it's hard to figure that out when the number's 976, so then they'll match up and you'll be able to do it. So I would need a motion of a first reading of the policies 6, 7, 8, and 9.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and second to approve the first reading of the 600, 700, 800, and 900 series of board policy. Are there any questions or discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Item number 19, purchases over 25,000.
None at this time.
Item number 20, proposal for design services for the Emerson building.
Okay, we are to the stage to where we're ready to do the upper part of this building. We've got prices to where we believe we can fit them within our $1 million budget. What you are going to have, it actually will start this year, but next year you're going to have it a lot more, and it kind of mirrors what happened when I first got here. You were out of room at the high school, and you're going to have to start spilling over into this building. If you spill over into this building, we have some updating we need to do upstairs with fire system, with air circulation, with different things. The long range plan would be as if you do the upstairs, you will have it set up to where you can remodel the downstairs and turn this into classrooms if needed, and you could expand going back towards the high school if needed. This is stage one. In order to put this together, we have to have the architects put the package together of what it looks like, make sure that we have everything we need in it. Then you would take it out to bids. Construction more than likely would be next fall. Whether or not the construction would take an entire year or we could use it by semester kind of depends on what the bids come in and the timeframes look like. But for step one, I need to approve the architects to start making the plans. It is my recommendation because at the current time, I can think of 1 and possibly 2 classrooms I'm going to have to put over here, and that is without any student growth. The next year, you have even a bigger class coming in, and you're going to need extra space. So
I'll make that motion.
Second.
It's been moved and second to accept the proposal for design services. Are there any questions? So when you say construction next fall, are we talking 21?
we're talking 20.
20.
If I can get it here, I can get it drawn up. We can take it to bids, hopefully, and do
Well,
the
just
construction.
so everybody's clear that we're talking about
This coming fall.
this fall
Yeah.
of this year.
If we can, it would be nice to be able to use those upstairs rooms second semester. I can't guarantee that we'll meet that time frame or not.
So are you looking at July, hopefully having the information or being able to start taking bids or August?
And we'll have the information and we'll take it out to bid sometime late July or August. I don't know. I mean, usually it takes 6 to 8 weeks to get the stuff drawn up. So I think August is really here's what it's going to look like.
Any other questions? All those in favor of accepting the proposal for design services signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Item number 21, board member reports.
I don't have anything.
Yeah, nothing here.
Okay, item number 22, superintendent's report.
Okay, so let me go through and read what I put down. We continue to get guidance from the state on what things can be open and what things can't be open. I am basing this on the baseball and softball discussion, but the next thing that they're talking about, not really coaches contact, but they're starting to say that at some point they are going to let us open up the weight rooms and the open gyms. My theory is that we will not open anything up, even if given permission by the state, until after the July 4th weekend, which is July 6th. If we can't play baseball, softball, I don't see why we could have an open gym for basketball. I mean, that's just, I think for safety reasons, we're better off shutting down until after that July 4th weekend and we see where we're at. If things haven't improved by that time, I will shut us down until the next board meeting to where I can bring it to the board and put it on. Rich asked me if I could put it on the board agenda, and I said, no, the agenda was already published. So that's why it's not an agenda item. It came out after the agenda was published. But at this time, unless you tell me differently, and we'd have to have a meeting to do it, my plan is to shut down the school facilities for sports until at least after the July 4th weekend, to where we get a better idea of what we have going on.
Would that include like summer running program and just kind of everything?
Yeah, everything.
Anything school
We're not,
related?
because you don't have coaches contact. That has not been approved until
Right,
July
okay.
1st at this time. When the state opened up weight rooms for like businesses, then the question came out, can you open the school weight rooms? Well, the answer was no at that time. Now it's starting to look like that you could open a gym and have kids come play basketball, but you couldn't coach them. I think we're just going to hold off a few more weeks on that, especially if the date's July 1st on it, till we get through the 4th of July weekend and we know actually what our county and our area situation is. So I guess that's informational only with that.
Could we ask athletic director or somebody to come up with what a possible opening would look like? Because we have a special meeting on the 30th, so they could present us with, we can add one more item on there for the 30th. And if they can show us that, we've designed a way of opening this that will be, in our opinion, safe, that might be something that would be useful to us, because that's before that July 4th.
Yeah, it's the week before that.
Right.
So, an open gym right now, if you could open a gym, it does not necessarily mean you can play basketball. It means you can shoot. I mean, the gym is open, because all the guidance I've seen anyway still talks about the social distancing. You got to be 6 feet apart. You've got to do a lot of that stuff. At some point, we're going to have to open that up. As other schools open it up, you're going to get pressure to open it up. People want to use the weight room. People want to use the gymnasium. People want to use the wrestling room. There's different things. But if your social distancing are still in place, it may be a dead point, because, I mean, you can shoot. You can always shoot, but you can go to the park and shoot too. So it depends on the weather.
It could be such a thing as, we're gonna have less than 10 people in the weight room at one time, or in the gym at one time, or just maybe what a proposal for something like that would look like.
And that doesn't matter if it's June 30th or July 30th. I mean, as long as you got the proposal, we know what it looks like.
Right.
So safe reentering.
Any other questions on that one topic for Jess?
Okay. Everybody now should have an Eagle Grove email. Did everybody receive an email from me telling you that this meeting was going to be online this way? I believe that and Lance, tell me if I'm wrong, if I send it to the Eagle Grove email, it should send it to their other email too, just to make sure that the communication was there, correct? No, I'm wrong. I thought that it forwarded to that. Has everybody checked their Eagle Grove email?
I hadn't, no, but somehow I got a notification on my phone. But I'd be the same way. I'd rather have it at my home email that tells me to go to this one because I'm probably not gonna check this one
Okay.
regularly. If there's,
So you want me to keep sending stuff to the first email that you gave me? I mean, all of this stuff, and your
or
account's
if
to
you
log
just
in.
notify me, if there's a better way to notify that, like the
I've got them
link,
both on mine.
or
I can
whatever.
send them either way.
yeah.
But
With me, it's just to get in the habit of checking Gmail because I don't.
Right, and that's
Okay.
probably me too, but I mean,
Plus, you
I probably won't go
you
to it
spelled my
unless I.
name wrong, but
Me too.
do you have? Me too. We'll check those. If you
Just tell them how you.
No, he
gave
didn't
them
spell
to
mine
me.
wrong, I'm just saying, I
Oh.
need to get better.
If
everybody
If I'm gonna
spells
go
mine
to it
wrong.
regularly.
if you once we get to the paperless board meetings and the Chromebook, you're going to have that username to log into it. So that's why we're sending that stuff up. So, online board meetings. As we get closer to the June 30th meeting, we'll have to decide if we do it this way or if we can be back in person, and we'll do that at July 2. I think that if we have internet connectivity is one issue that you run into, and if you have more people that have better internet here, we can also open up room 103 and set some people in there so they can use our internet to do the same thing, just so we get this kind of spacing. But we're going to open it back up to a normal board meeting as soon as we can, but at this time, I don't think we're ready for that. So as of now, I would say that until you're told different, we're probably doing virtual meetings until I tell you we're ready to come back for an online one, and I'll have those discussions with John. But if you need to come to the school for something, we will find a place for you to locate. It might not be in this room, or we'll spread you out more in this room, or we'll continue to do it virtually the way we're doing it. So, does anybody have any questions for me?
the reality why I'm here, because I have to sign checks and bills, so it's a little different in that circumstance, but we certainly wouldn't expect anybody to come if they don't feel safe to be here, so.
There's a possibility I may not be at the next board meeting, but I don't know that for sure.
The July one.
July
Okay.
13th, yes. So just FYI there.
Any other questions for Jess?
I guess if it's virtual, I could call in from wherever I am, but we'll see.
Is that it?
That's it. That's all I have.
Our favorite motion.
So move to adjourn.
You have a second to adjourn?
Yep.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All right.
We're adjourned. Thank you very much.